This conference will now be recorded.
Good evening, folks. The time being 4:46, I'd like to call this meeting of March 21st, 2024 to order. We'll all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we have an organizational meeting here, and we don't have a list, a checkup like we usually do. But I do have it on my phone as to what we need. So we will start out with the chairman. Recommendations, nominations, please.
I'll nominate John Scanlon.
I'm going to not do that this year.
All right.
I'll nominate Pat Constantino. So far, so good.
I'll second it, but that's so far so good thing. I believe that the chairmanship should be passed around. No bad things about what Pat has done. I just feel like it's one of those things that should be, we take turns.
Oh,
But you have a motion and a second. I've said that for years.
I've forgotten. I'm used to I know that I wouldn't want to do the job.
It typically,
Takes a lot of
we were
time.
passing around, this year I don't.
And since nobody spoke up.
We have a motion and a second.
All right, motion is in a second. And there any discussion? Any more discussion, I should say. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? One abstention? Okay. Chair, vice chair.
I'll do a fill-in vice chair if anybody wants to nominate. Well,
I nominate John to be vice chair.
Second.
Discussion? Anyone?
Just curiosity, you're vice chair now, right?
Yes.
Oh, good.
Aye.
Okay. I'm sorry. Brain gets dusty.
I'm going to make you a roster card.
Yeah, John's vice chair now. I had to look. I couldn't remember it was
Uniform
Scott or
numbers,
you.
all that stuff.
Okay. Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
This to go through.
Budget committee alternate. Budget committee ex officio.
I would like to be the budget committee ex officio, if that's okay with the rest of you.
Unless you want to do planning.
Hmm?
Unless you want to do planning.
Either way. Who's
I'll
on?
nominate Joe for budget
Committee?
ex officio.
Joe, budget. Nomination for budget. I'll second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Alternate budget ex officio.
I'll nominate Catherine Dawson.
I was going to nominate Scott Ruggles.
But he beat
I
you
was
to it.
I was quicker on the
He
draw.
beat you to it. I'll second that.
I decline.
Okay.
I
So
decline.
Catherine has declined the alternate position of budget committee. So another nomination.
Ruggles would be spectacular. I nominate him.
Yep. So you've
I'll
nominated.
second that.
Okay, so Scott, alternate budget. Okay, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Abstain.
Abstention. Okay, planning board. Nominate Catherine.
I'll second that.
Discussion.
I
She
thought
has,
that was John's
Well-
baby.
well, it was
Well-
this year.
Oh,
What, yeah, and
If-
you said you didn't want that,
I'll
right?
do alternate
He's gonna
on
do,
it, but
he wants to do
He
alternate,
could do alternate.
right?
let's-
you know that it's recommended that the alternate members of the planning board also participate and
Yes.
sit at the table.
Right,
Good.
and have input.
Well, I've done it before, I guess.
To sit at the table?
Yes.
Yes,
They
I didn't know
cannot
that. I
vote,
used to when I
they
came.
cannot vote, and they cannot make motions,
mm,
but they can participate.
Well,
In
that's,
discussion.
in the
I learn
discussion.
something new all the time.
And that's on all committees.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's how you learn to be a member.
right.
That's in the RSA.
That's how we do it with the executive committee alternate.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, there's a motion made and seconded for planning board ex officio. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Abstain.
And one abstention.
that
Alternate
down.
planning board nomination.
I'll nominate John Scanlon.
Jessamine second.
So there's an alternate and a second. Yes. Motion for alternate and a second for John for planning board ex officio. Discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Conservation Commission, nothing. Trustee, library, zoning, nothing. Sewer, nothing. Parks. I'll nominate Catherine. Right,
Second.
Parks, Catherine. Motion has been made and seconded. Discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstain.
Okay, do we have an alternate? Scott is the current alternate. Scott, you willing to do that?
I make a motion to appoint Scott Ruggles.
Second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Abstain.
Okay. Lakes Region Planning is an appointment. We have to talk about that in a minute. Tilton Trail Advisory Committee.
I nominate Catherine.
What do they do?
As the
could-
current representative, would you like me to brief you?
They might have one or two meetings a year, maybe. And then
Okay.
I promise. I'm not
Okay.
going to lead you wrong. And I'm in a public forum.
I like to pick on you.
Like, I end up on Facebook enough anyways. I'm good.
Okay, there's a motion made in, who seconded it?
Second.
Okay, and then for Catherine, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. An alternate for the Tilton Trail?
I'll nominate Joe Jessamine.
Okay, Joe for alternate. Did you second it?
I'll
No.
second.
Oh, Catherine seconded it. Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, housing standard is appointed. Okay, I think we have them all unless there's something different. Energy,
Energy. We've never had a meeting.
yeah, okay.
The incinerator, the garbage.
Recycling?
The garbage. Concord Regional Solid.
Oh, yeah,
Waste.
okay. All right, I nominate Joe.
Second.
All right,
I have been doing it for
Yep.
10 or 11 years.
You are
And
good
a
at it.
great job.
Yeah, we haven't had a meeting in a year, but for a while there, we were having lots of them.
yeah. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Anything else? So Lakes Region Planning Commission. We might want to talk to Jane when she comes in. I will tell you that she has been by unanimous vote for the Lakes Region Planning Executive Board, has been appointed, a confirmed appointment to the Lakes Region Planning
Nice.
Commission.
Congratulations.
So-
she does real well. I've served with her on boards and committees, and she's engaged.
So this will be
If
scheduled.
she's willing.
Right, so it will. Welcome aboard. Please note this appointment by the executive is a temporary appointment, will remain in effect until the next year election of the board members scheduled in June of 2024. You may request to be placed on the ballot for a full term should you wish prior to preparation of the same. So I don't think she can serve on the executive board and as a representative. I don't know the details of that.
Wouldn't you
We
have to
might-
be a representative before you could serve on their board?
You can, yeah, but I don't know.
Oh, you don't have to be, though.
I don't know. I don't know the details, Joe, so we need to probably follow up and see if you can do both, or that's what I'm saying. It would be nice if she could do both. It's only a temporary appointment to the executive board, and then if she wants to run for a full term, then she could run for the full term. Which, I hope she does, but it is what it is. Right?
Yep.
Okay. Did we forget anything else for appointments? It says on our agenda secretary, but I don't think we need a secretary. We never had one, right? We never appointed
Not
a
in my
secretary.
personal experience, but
No.
we have
Yeah.
somebody taking notes
Right,
who would indeed serve as our secretary.
right. All right, somebody somehow has to take our information that we just did and give it to the town clerk tax collector to update, and then the website has to be updated accordingly as well.
We also asked that a list of, I know it's in the annual report, but I'm sure it's different now, but the members of all of our boards, ex officios, alternates, et cetera, when they meet.
Okay, yeah.
Sometimes the website doesn't catch up.
Right.
And
So
it's- yeah,
this would also be a good time to note that for the chairmans of the different boards to get the individual people that their term is ending to either renew or.
Doesn't the town clerk keep a running total of that?
Yes, we do. And she's given us, the chairman should know anyway
Yes.
who's not. I mean, I just submitted the ones for the senior center only because we just met.
Yeah.
So we should be getting in, conservation, parks.
we should send out that notice to the boards and committees, like in February,
Come on up.
January.
Right. Grab a chair. Kim, I can't do it, so I can't grab a chair right here. All right, our next appointment is town clerk tax collector on an abatement.
Okay. Tilton School, can you hear me?
You got to push that down a little bit.
Or grow, right?
Yep.
Tilton School would like an abatement. I have the assessor's recommendation with me that I would like to share with all of you.
Thank you. Hmm.
Thank you. You can.
What is the amount?
What I would like to do, if we discuss this any further, is I'd really like to go into non-public, if that's possible.
Motion to go into non-public, I guess, but I don't know. I don't have the RSA in front of me.
I would say that was discussed in
If it was
public.
any other taxpayer, we would go into non-public.
All right, a motion has been made to go into non-public. Matters if discussed in public would adversely affect the reputation of a person other than members of the board, 91A:32C.
Jessamine second.
Roll call vote. Folks, we'll be right back.
Dawson, yes?
Ruggles, yes.
Jessamine, yes.
Scanlon, yes.
Constantino, yes.
This conference will now be recorded.
Make a motion to seal the minutes of the non-public. Because disclosure would adversely affect the reputation of a person other than a member of the board.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
No.
One no. Go ahead. All right. Has the board made a decision? All those in favor of paying the abatement?
We don't have a motion technically, do we?
You don't need a
Oh.
motion.
You're right. I'm sorry. Anybody would like to make a motion to pay the abatement or not?
I'll make a motion to not allow the abatement.
Second.
A motion has been made and seconded not to pay the abatement. Do I hear a discussion? None. All those in favor of not paying the abatement?
Aye.
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 Abstain.
And one abstention. Okay, you have your direction.
Okay, super. Thank you
All
very
right,
much.
thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks, Kim.
Appreciate your
Appreciate
time.
it. Okay, next on our agenda is the adoption of the hazardous mitigation plan.
Madam Chair,
Yep.
I just got a call from Dave Jeffers. He's on his way. He got stuck in traffic.
Okay, we'll take up
He should be here 10 minutes.
10 minutes.
Who's
Well-
Dave Jeffers?
He's the guy
Hazardous-
from Lakes Region Planning.
How about if we do the approval of minutes or the town administrator, whichever. Are you ready, Paul? Town administrator report? Or do you want to do minutes?
Minutes, if you would.
Okay.
Mine's quite lengthy.
Okay.
Thank you.
We have the minutes of 2:29.
I have one more correction, but I think we can approve them because it's just grammatical. On page 3, kind of in the middle, Masons in particular, because she understands that they have a House bill looking to make their property exempt from taxation. It's properties, all the properties that the Masons own. I don't want it to make it sound like just the Masons that have their building in Tilton. This is statewide.
Okay. Everybody okay with that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. Make a motion that we approve the minutes of February 29th, 2024, based on correcting the grammatical error.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, 3-7.
Scrap. Scrap pile.
Yeah, it's just trash.
Already.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of Thursday, March 7th, 2024.
Chessman, second.
A motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We all set, Paul, or do you want to continue?
Could you just do the last minutes,
Okay,
please, Madam Chair? Thank you.
okay. 3/12/24.
I make a motion to accept the minutes of Tuesday, March 12th, 2024.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded for 3/12/24. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That cleans up the minutes. Uh, Are we able to meet next week, board, for the chief special non-public for personnel? That can't be done tonight, but if it's at all possible.
Yeah, but it's just a one item thing and we're done, right? Sure.
Everybody? Okay. Post it, yeah. Okay. All right, we're still waiting for a cup. Oh, okay, that's what I asked. Okay,
Sorry, yeah,
all right, so
yeah.
we're gonna do Dave justice for the mitigation and mitigation plan. Come on up.
Take it with you. Then the town clerk's here. We can put the seal. Okay.
Right there, the mic's in front of you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time. I'm David Jeffers with the Lakes Region Planning Commission. We've been working with the town of Tilton on development, updating your hazard mitigation plan, which was last updated in 2019, or was due to, it was due to expire. We started the process with funding through New Hampshire Homeland Security and Emergency Management. It's a process that we have done before. It's a 5-year process, or it's something that has to be updated every 5 years. We had involvement from the committee and good involvement. It took a long time to get done. And I appreciate that it actually came before this board, and the board gave approval to move it forward back in January of 2023. There have been a number of circumstances that have slowed it down from the outset. There was the pandemic. There was changing of staff, both here in town, at our office, and at Homeland Security and Emergency Management. In that time period, also, some of the checklist requirements from FEMA, they changed in April of this year. The process of approving was changed so that it no longer went directly through the state and back to us. It had to go through FEMA. Plans have been, there's been a very stuck pipeline since April of this year. The first plans in New Hampshire got approved in mid-December of this year. It's opening up. This plan did finally, it's been through 3 revisions. It has, and I think it's a much better plan for having done that, but it was a long process to get here. It is a guidance document, and has, you've had some opportunity to look through it, I believe. The important elements of it are in sections 5 and 6, where it has mitigation strategies to address various potential hazards to the town. And then they were ranked by the committee, and they have a time frame within the 5-year timeline, and a cost estimate, and a responsible party named to help usher that through. Not everything's going to get done. There were a number of things that got done in the last 5 years. And it's a process of accomplishing things, evaluating, and pushing it forward. There have been some changes, and in terms of the expectations from FEMA, it does now take into account potential impacts from climate change. It does take into account potentially potentially vulnerable groups of people, and the potential impacts that natural hazards might have on them. It does focus just on natural hazards. We acknowledge there are hazards that are non-natural that you do have to be prepared for, but this focuses, FEMA's requirements is that they focus just on those, and they focus just on mitigation actions, not response. I think the town just recently updated the emergency operations plan, and that's more of a response document. Some of the changes, there's also been greater emphasis on how things can change within the community, various planning mechanisms, so that, and stating it, being, it, I know it, the planning board knows it, the ZBA knows how things can get changed, but this does a better job of stating how those things can get done. And it also specifies the process by which the town should be doing an annual review of the actions, and then, of course, every 5 years doing the full update. And funding does come, there is funding, hazard mitigation planning funding that does come through Homeland Security and Emergency Management, which is what partially funds what we do. It certainly doesn't cover all of the activity behind this. And there is a section at the back where you can keep track of what you're doing, and that's your annual review. Gee, how are we doing on each item on the list? There are about 30 items that have been identified. One of the things that the committee had come up with some big ticket items that are long-term. It might be dealing with some of the erosion that's happening on some of the things that are happening on Route 3 and 11, some of the things dealing with the wires, overhead wires and that sort of thing. One of the things that FEMA reviewers did point out is break those into phases. It's going to take some planning and identify planning as one of the elements that you can do. So that's a short-term sort of thing, and go after that. So you're making progress towards it. You may not be able to find the $3 million or whatever to get something done within 5 years. That may not happen, but if you can bite off a planning element to it and have something, then you're taking a step towards it. And that's one of the modifications that went in. So what I'm here to do is to tell you that this has been APA approved pending local adoption. And we're asking we're seeking your signatures on this. Once we have your signatures for adoption of it, I'll take the electronic version of it, put it in here, get it off to Homeland Security and Emergency Management. They'll send it to FEMA, and a letter will come back saying you're approved for the next 5 years. But we need to do that, and are there questions or comments or anything else?
I'm hesitant to sign anything that says I approve that without at least glancing at it.
Okay.
Just my own personal thing, Dave.
Yep. Okay. We received, okay, we received it from Homeland Security in the final the final version, APA version came back last week. And
Paul did send it
Yeah,
out to us,
okay.
Joe.
Correct. Yeah.
And you've
I
not,
missed it.
right,
Totally on me.
it's on,
I did too, Joe.
Yeah, I
It's,
didn't
what is
look
it?
at
Can you send it email?
yeah,
Digital version.
the email
It's a
version,
hard thing to print out
right.
at home.
I got it.
Yep.
Now I'll print it out when I go home.
Okay.
Does anybody else have anything to say about it that might be detrimental?
I'm not signing until I read.
If you, is it absolutely earth shattering that it has to be approved tonight? I mean, can we have this week, and we are going to meet just for something else next week, but we can sign a paper if we approve it next week.
Okay. Then it absolutely needs to be done. We're on a second contract extension, and FEMA has expedited their review of this so that we can get it done before the beginning of April contract deadline on this.
I'll read it and be ready to go on next Thursday.
John, you have a question?
So one of the things I'm particularly concerned about is that we're saying that the Route 3 and 11 is a long-term. We've been discussing it for 13 years now.
Yep.
And we're saying now it's long-term. When does it become pertinent? I think that is a key thing. It's eroding. The road is collapsing into the
Mhm.
river as we speak, and river have gone up. So
Yeah.
I I haven't read it, but I'll have to look. But I wouldn't agree to some type of putting it off long term. I think we need to have a plan that aggressively states our course of action on that.
Okay.
And we
Yeah.
are talking with the state.
For 13 years, we have been.
Yes, we have.
Yes. And
And they just took it off their 10-year plan that they're only looking at the rotary until when we brought it up about that river. So it's a big
Yeah.
concern for the town.
Yeah.
It's
About the
I mean,
curve, you mean?
the,
But are they, I'm not understanding quite what you're saying, because in the next 2 years, they're acting on it. The curbing,
Theoretically.
theoretically, correct, I get it.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that the plan shows that we are moving ahead and that's not that we're going to review it every year and do a long-term thing.
Well, let's
okay,
read it.
I would
Yeah.
encourage
that's
you to
gonna
read
take
it
a look.
again. It
You
was
bet.
provided to the earlier draft of this was provided to this board
Mhm.
in December of 22. And
Some of
this
us.
board gave it a thumbs up
Right.
in January of 22. Then
You're
there
talking
were revisions.
revisions and new
Yes.
regulations
Yep.
and all
And-
this stuff which would be reflected in there and
Yep.
not in the one from 2022.
Correct.
I don't think any of us
And-
realized how critical the time was to sign this.
Correct.
Uh-huh.
And also, Dave, not everyone was on the board in 22 that is here
Understood.
now. So,
Understood.
you know, I think we all apologize, because I don't think that the urgency of that we had to sign this tonight,
I did not
you know,
necessarily convey that,
so
but
we're a board that we have to
Sure.
look at it and
Get right
study
on
it.
it.
And I don't
Okay.
sign
I
anything,
know.
Dave, that
I
I
know.
don't read.
I know.
Right.
And the version that did get sent out, when I made revisions, the original is in black font.
Mhm.
The first set of revisions are in red font. And then there are a few revisions that were made in blue font.
Okay.
So
Don't print it in black and white.
I mean, you're welcome to. I would encourage you, and I think that it does go through in a fairly logical fashion, and outlines the
Mhm.
states the process, outlines the
Mhm.
purpose, and goes through each of the potential hazards, goes through the potential actions,
Mhm.
how they were prioritized by the committee, and then what the process is. Okay.
So if there's a problem such as the Route 3 and 11, you mentioned that there's FEMA funds or something.
Yeah.
So if we escalated that, just thinking about, would that make funds more available to the state to repair their road?
The state road.
It's a state road, and you're not alone in some of the things. So there are a lot of communities where Main Street coming through town is the state road, and there are certain things you can do and with that process, and there are certain things you can't, or you have to find another way around. One of the things, for example, culvert work is identified here. Flooding is one of the bigger issues that happens in many communities in the Lakes region that is of concern. And by identifying trouble areas,
Mhm.
that does lay the foundation for mitigation funding, and it's pointed out here, there are FEMA funds they have a matching program that I believe is still 80/20. So, you have a $5,000 culvert, and that really can limit your outlay on that sort of thing. It may not address a state culvert. It's not going to address a state culvert, but it can help with your local culverts. Now, but it's got to be in the plan. The first thing they're going to do in terms of FEMA funding, if you're applying for grant funds and it's not in here, the first question they're going to ask is, why isn't it in here? And so that's part of the reason for doing this and updating it every 5 years. And tracking things. The last time we did this, the police station had not been built, and it was one of the top priorities here. I doubt that, sometimes things like generators for emergency operation centers are eligible for funding, that sort of thing. And I believe that the town was working on some of that when that was done. That runs makes the line between mitigation and response
I see, yeah.
dicey, but by the way, there is a new, they used to be called field representatives for Homeland Security and Emergency Management. They're now called stakeholder liaisons. Paul Hatch is now the stakeholder liaison for Belknap County. In addition to, he's been a long time rep in Grafton County and a very good person to work with. I can leave his email address with Paul.
With
please.
Paul, that would be great.
I have a brief summary of some of the changes that went on. I've been trying to keep Jeannie and Paul abreast of modifications that were required as we went through this process. But I'll put that together and get it out to you tomorrow.
That sounds
A
great.
good
Thank you
point
very
to
much.
make sure it comes. Thanks for all
Yep.
the work on this.
Yes,
It looks like
and
quite the huge
when
project.
this does get signed, if we can make sure that the town seal gets on it, go through faster. I know that they want to have get it through as fast as possible.
Well, I appreciate your understanding
Yeah,
on this.
thank you. I read it, I went through it.
Yeah.
That's the excitement of my life on vacation.
Let's see, is there anything else that I need to say? This does the state came out with a new hazard mitigation plan in October of this year, and this better aligns with that. So a few of the changes that you see there are in alignment with that.
Is there a plan available on probably the state's website?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Our contract expires in April.
Thank you.
Thank you
We'll
for
get it
coming
done.
in.
We'll get it
Appreciate
done
it,
next
Dave.
week.
No, I
Thanks,
think that's
thanks.
it.
Thank you. Dave.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate you coming in.
Thank you for getting me on so quickly. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Thanks. Paul, would you mind having Amy print out a couple of those that anyone else want a printed copy?
I can go online and get it, because then I'll I'll save
Do you
save
want a
them
printed
trees.
copy?
I'll be out and about tomorrow. If I could pick it up sometime in the morning, that'd be great.
Do you want to,
I have a good printer and it'll zip it right out.
Color
Yep.
too.
It's in the email or the.
it's in the email,
Yeah, the message.
right? 2. All right, thank you. All right. Town Administrator's Report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. There are 4 action items I'd like you to look at, and behind my report, you'll notice we're continuing the dialogue regarding the dog waste dispensers. We looked into the cost, and you'll see that they're $226.98 a piece. The one that we're looking at is from Amazon. It's the best one that we've seen. And I'm wondering if the board is in agreement that we have the $500 donation from Tilton resident, and I'm wondering if you'll allow us to purchase 2 more and put them on Main Street, 2 on each side.
So 2 from the town budget and 2 from the donation?
Yes.
Is that what you're proposing?
That's what I'm proposing, Madam Chair.
Is this one the same as the one that's on the island?
Pretty close.
I don't know.
Probably
Captain.
serves the same purpose. I don't know if it's the same
Well, I'm
machine.
just thinking, I wouldn't want to have to buy bags for one that don't fit in the other.
Those things dispense, well, I guess it could be too big, but they dispense bags individually.
Most of them are pretty synonymous.
I have 5 cats.
And then you need a bigger dispenser.
I don't,
That's
I'm
not
just
in
saying,
the,
I don't.
that's not part of the town budget though, so.
I've never
I
used
think
one.
the bags are
No,
pretty
they're
much the
They're
same.
pretty synonymous.
Oh, they're pretty,
Yeah.
so
They're pretty much
Some-
the
the
same
one-
size,
we
right?
buy
the-
bags for these, it'll fit in those. We
Yeah.
don't have to be buying
I think
separate parts,
Yeah, 'cause-
dealing with separate entities.
Because the one on the island, last time, it was very similar to the one at like Franklin Falls. It's the same bag.
Is it?
basically. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Doggy
Guess I-
bags.
So, yeah.
do we have a hand up over there? That a hand up on the left, down on the bottom? No?
Oh, no.
Okay.
Our budget is very, very tight. I have some concerns that we may be running over in like our legal line and whatnot.
Mm.
This is, I mean, it's $500 some odd, but it's still very tight.
Why don't we get 2, put 1 on each end and then put them in a location where if the budget allows us during, summer or fall, we can add 2 at that point.
If we put one on this side,
Yeah.
on this end, and one on that end.
Or
is
1
that
on
what
the
you're
other
saying?
end, right,
I could go with that.
right. For now, and if we get another donation or whatever, we could do that too.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
All right.
Question?
Uh,
For the chief?
Wait on that. We haven't taken a consensus.
No.
That was just a suggestion.
So we're gonna get the bags with it
Right.
too, because it was $500 donation, so whatever, or
Right.
$450.
Joe, you had a question?
For the chief, how often are we enforcing that rule?
Often are we enforcing that rule? That'd be a hard number to get.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I'm guessing pretty much 0,
I
probably.
would say, you have to, obviously, we've talked about this, you have to drive by, see that that's happening, have somebody that witnessed it, write a statement, video, something that kind of match it up, whose dog is doing.
Then my message is to all those people who walk their dogs on Main Street, bring a bag, pick up after yourself. It's ludicrous that we have dog turds up and down Main Street.
Yep.
It really is. And it's not even the dog's fault. It's the people who have the dogs and don't pick up after them.
They think the cutouts are their own personal pads.
And the dogs do what dogs do.
In the asphalt where the trees were, they that's where they think that their own personal litter boxes.
It was even there when the trees were there, it was still an
Right.
issue.
Oh, yeah. They used to urinate on the trees.
Yeah.
Might be time for a camera out there.
Big surprise the trees wouldn't grow.
That and asphalt. So
Yeah.
kind of hinders. tree
Okay,
growth.
so are we all in agreement to get two and one down one end and one on the opposite side? Okay.
Yes.
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 We are in agreement. Yep.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
And thank you to Nate for the donation.
The second item, action item, is something I sent ahead of time for the board to review, and that's the land use coordinator's job description, which was revised 2019 and has to be updated now in 2024.
I have lots of highlights and markup, and
I'm just questioning whether or not we should do this now, or because we had had a discussion on health officer and, whatever.
well, I'm also thinking the land use coordinator job description, it might be a good idea to send it to the planning board after we get done with it, because that position and the zoning board, both boards, because that position serves them. We
Mhm.
don't have a town planner. It's basically a secretary, regardless of, what fancy title we give it. And that person serves those two boards. And I think it would be valuable to get their input on this job description. Some of the job description, in my opinion, needs to be changed because the law says otherwise. But that's just me. I suggest we pass on approving it and discuss the description, get it in a format that we think it should be in, and then send it out to those two
When we
boards.
think that we
At a later
discuss it
time?
Well, I think we could discuss it later on in the meeting,
later on this meeting?
if we have time.
Okay. Board okay with that, or?
I am.
All right.
Madam Chair, the board needs to accept a donation from Grapponi for the Tilton Senior Centre in the amount of $250.
I make a motion to accept the donation from Grapponi for the Tilton Senior Center in the amount of $250. Thank you, Grapponi's.
Ruggles second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Madam Chair, as you quite rightly pointed out, the street fair in August and the Christmas parade in December is going to be signed by Chief Gilman, and he's going to send it back to the appropriate parties.
You do that.
Yeah, I usually do that.
Okay, but it was in our to be signed folders. Okay.
Yeah, I got it right here now.
Okay, go ahead.
On March the 8th, I participated in a conference call with the folks from DOT District 3 office and the headquarters in Concord, along with Jim Bouchard of the Turner Group, who is consulting with the town of Tilton on the Tilton Island Bridge, the retaining wall on Route 3, and the removal of poles to the hillside, which is considered Tilton Hill property. We are to receive a conference report in due course, which I shall share with the Selectmen. On March the 11th, we received department reports from the PD and DPW, which are in your binders and which you received ahead of the meeting in case you had questions. The land use department report will be out next month.
Mm-hmm.
On March the 12th, I received a call from the Appropriations Department of Senator Jean Shaheen's office to inform me that the town of Tilton had been awarded $500,000 from the congressionally directed spending account. This money is for the repair replacement of the Tilton Island Bridge. The agency that we should be working with is the National Parks Service.
Madam Chair. I think we need to represent this correctly when we have the wording, because the appropriation reads that it would be to restore the bridge. So having replacement listed anywhere is incorrect. So the appropriation as listed on Senator Shaheen's website is restore. And looking at the appropriations bill as well, it says to restore the Tilton Island Bridge. So unless National Park Service and the federal government are going to bend on that, which is not easy to do, then we should represent it as such.
I have a question. If you were made aware of this on March 12th,
Yep.
why weren't we told at our Thursday meeting so that we could have known and answered the questions at town meeting about the bridge much better?
I was told by representative in Senator Sheen's office to keep this very quiet. It was a verbal understanding before we even got a letter from the senator's office. I spoke with the chair of our select board and said I couldn't even announce this when residents stood up at town meeting and asked questions about the Tilton Island Bridge.
Thank you.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, he told me after the town meeting. We didn't have a meeting in between, remember?
Oh,
No.
that's right. We had it the
Right.
week before.
Didn't have one last
But
week.
we still, town meeting would have been nice if we could have known. Of
Right.
course,
Hmm.
Gene Sheen's office wouldn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
And our staff, may I continue, Madam Chair?
Mhm.
Thank you. At our staff meeting on March 13th, we had Katrina Manning from Health Trust make a wellness presentation to our employees, which was well received. Amy Despins has volunteered to be our wellness coordinator. We intend to have other vendors come before the staff, such as Primex, who can offer other training opportunities. On March 15th, Amy Despins and I participated in a Health Trust webinar regarding employee retention strategies. On March 19th, Amy Despins, Tim Pearson and I participated in a webinar walking us through the reporting process for reporting requirements of the American Rescue Plan Act, ARPA. That same morning, I participated in a webinar for Safe Streets and Roads for All funding. Selectman Jessamine asked me to look into the Pine Street Bridge, which I did with DPW, and send him a picture of the cracks in the abutments. DPW is going to take care of this.
Mm-hmm.
The next Selectmen's meeting is scheduled for April 4th at the PD, because at 6 p.m. we have the listening session for Caliph Hill Road.
Would you please send out a reminder? I'm going to end up here and wondering where everybody is.
Right,
Happened to me before.
right.
It has to me.
More than once.
So we're gonna actually start the meeting at 4:45 and then stop for the public hearing on Caliph Hill Road.
That's all I have, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody have any other questions for town administrator? Selectmen's reports. John Scanlon.
Pretty much it's been town meeting and fire district meeting for all those who didn't attend. They put the money back in for the hydrants. So that's back on. They had a settlement on that, as well as some other items. And we have school district meeting on Saturday. So these are the things that affect our tax bills the most compared to our town. So it's important that people attend that.
They'll be voting on the formula on Saturday, will they not? The new
Correct.
formula?
It's that's right, the formula committee.
Yes.
Yes. So this is a big one that affects everybody's taxes, and it'd be good to attend those. That's all I have for this week.
Okay. Scott?
Town Administrator Branscombe had said it, but I'll just reaffirm that on the 8th of March, it was announced by Senator Shaheen's office that congressionally directed spending was secured under the fiscal year 2024 under the Interior, Environment, and Related Agencies appropriations, and Tilton is appropriated $500,000, and what it says is funds will be used to restore the Tilton Island Park Bridge. So that's all I had, but Good news.
Yeah, very good news.
Thank you. I'm all set.
Joe?
I have no report this week.
Okay, glad you're back.
Glad to be back.
Catherine?
Question
I wish.
for the town administrator. Handicap booth. Public Works prepared to wash it, clean it, or replace it?
I don't know. I'll find out.
Okay.
I don't know. What?
Do we know the cost of one to replace?
Oh, no, that's what I'm asking. I brought it up
A couple weeks ago, I
a
know
couple
you
weeks
brought it
ago,
up.
so I
Right.
wondered if they had looked into it because I've asked before and, it gets busy. Summer's coming and they're out ditching and
Right.
doing all the stuff they have to do, but
Well,
this
they'll
seems-
be plowing this weekend.
Yeah, I know. Isn't it awful?
Salting
But I'm
and
just saying, they
sanding
might have a
anyway.
little window to actually get her done and when they're not so busy doing other things. The last thing I have is real simple. Up on the stage are 2 bags of daffodil bulbs.
Mm.
They've been there all winter. It's a good thing it's cold up there. And I've felt a couple of them. They still seem viable. I'm wondering if it's okay if I plant them in the trough.
Please. Oh, yeah. Please.
That'll be a change.
There are some in there, but unfortunately passerbys have removed them in the past, so they've gotten a little sparse.
Well, I think it's a wonderful thing to use those bulbs. You'd let them go to waste would be a sin.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. They're there. There's enough of them. I'd like to get them in the ground.
Chief has a question.
How many do you have?
I didn't look. I know there's at least 6 bags.
Spare a couple at the PD. Can help you plant them.
Absolutely.
Any bone meal?
Pardon?
Have any bone meal?
Yes.
Because
do.
that.
I put it on in the fall.
Yeah, they love that in the.
Yep.
The
Bulbs love
daffodils will
them.
go nuts with that.
My grandmother taught me that. That was a good one. Yes. Almost said I have 2 that'll be in non-public, but
Okay. Having said the trough, I noticed that Guidel was out there reading the Wall Memorial.
yes, someone did a very nice thing. And I believe it was Guidel, raked and weeded and yes, it was very thoughtful.
Okay,
Do you have a hand?
moving on. We have do we have a hint?
Greg.
Oh, Greg.
Oh, hi, Pat. I had a question for the board, but I can wait until you're finished if you'd like.
No, go ahead. We're here.
A couple of weeks ago, you were talking about the elderly exemption, and I was wondering if anything was going to get done prior to the April 15th deadline.
Didn't we ask for more information?
We
from the
we asked
assessor?
the assessor for more information to come back to us. The impact of what it would be on the taxpayers and also a recommendation. So yes, we're still working on that.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Greg. Okay. Are you all set?
I am, thank you, yes.
Okay, yep. Okay, and I do not have anything other than the senior center is pretty much sold all our tickets. I think there's 1 or 2 out there for our raffle. It's going to be April 1st, April Fool's Day. Thank you for all that contributed. Thank you for Joe Tinker for his community service. So we got the $250 from Grapponi's. And thank you, Chuck, for and Kathy for the pastries at town meeting. It was well received. And a huge thank you to all the workers at town meeting and voting. That is not an easy job by any task, just sitting there watching everybody work from 6 a.m. to an ungodly hour in the evening. It is a huge thank you for everybody that's played a part in that. Thank you. That being said, that's it. We've done the minutes. Chief, do you have anything? Nope. Is there anybody online that have any public comment? Because we're going to go into non-public and we'll come back out and then we will adjourn. But we do have a long non-public. Is there any public comment out there? Having seen none, the time being 5:58, I make a motion to move into non-public for RSA 91A:3, matters which discussed in public would adversely affect the reputation of any person other than a member of the board, and 91A:2, hiring. Second. Roll call vote, please.
Dawson, yes.
Ruggles, yes.
Chessman, yes.
Scanlon, yes.
Constantino, yes.
This conference will now be recorded.
Who seconded that motion?
I did. Or Joe,
Yeah.
either one, we tied.
Yeah.
Make a motion to seal the minutes of March 21st, 2024, because disclosure would adversely affect the reputation of a person other than a member of the board permanently.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Catherine has something to say.
So I came in yesterday and cleaned up the area up there. It's been used as a dumping ground. I won't go into details, but I'm laughing because it was so ludicrous. But anyway, as I was cleaning, there are at least 3 boxes, if not 4, mainly stuff that came from the Grange years ago.
Yep.
And I'm wondering if we want to give it to the Historical Society.
They would probably love that stuff from the Grange.
Yep.
Yeah, it's their Chuck Virgin pictures.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some tri-corner hats.
Mhm.
That
Oh, yeah, I'm
yeah,
sure.
Right.
and
Love
it's that kind of stuff, paper stuff.
Yep.
But I just thought if
Yep.
we don't really have a place to keep, and it's just shame to leave it in those boxes.
Yep.
Right.
Yep, and there's pictures and all sorts
Okay.
of things.
I absolutely agree. And then there's some pictures in the frame in the hallway where the bathroom is in there that we took from the Grange
Where are they, up here?
in the second bathroom.
Right, but so when I was looking through the box, the pictures are like duplicates or other pictures like that are, I think in fact, they're on the website. Or I gave a disc to Tim of those pictures. Cindy had them years ago, so we have copies. But we should, as we go through it, there may be pictures that we want to hang here like we have in the hallway.
Yeah, yeah. Okay,
So,
got it. All
all
right.
right, I don't think I have a contact for him.
Oh, we do.
So I can offer to, if you want to just tell me when it's ready, I can, because I have access to the building, so I can get it to their offices.
If
I can make it.
it's ready, I've got it separated. Before we leave,
Okay.
I can show you where it is.
Okay, you can show me, and then what I'll do
I'll
is
show you the
I'll grab
boxes.
it tomorrow. I'll connect with John and just let him know. I'll get it because I
Yep.
obviously have access to that space,
Okay,
so
sounds
Awesome,
good.
Thank you.
Yeah. I can take care of that.
Yeah, that sounds good. And then he could go through it and hopefully
They'll be
he'll
able to
get
take-
in touch with you if he needs some of the history, if you know it or not.
All I know is some of it came from the Grange and
Yes.
some of it is left over from the stage productions.
Correct. Yeah. Oh,
Oh,
okay.
nice.
Oh,
I think that's where the tricorners came from.
Yep.
that's
you go.
cool.
And there's a crazy white dress. But like I said,
Nice.
all right, great.
I
That's great.
won't
Thank you.
comment on that one. Okay. All right. Is there any new business to come before us? Joe,
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
all those in favor?
See ya.
Aye. This is it? This the only one? You got that one?